Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have a bit of an interesting video coming up as the Toronto Argonauts head coach search has concluded, as they have hired Mike Miller to be the head coach. He moves from their quarterbacks coach. He was coaching Chad Kelly and Nick Arbuckle, done very, very successful with them. Took an interview with Toronto, took an interview with potential OC spot in Winnipeg. But he's going to be sticking around in Toronto as he will now become the team's head coach. So first of all, Rick, what do you think about this?
I find it interesting only because, I mean, with what he was able to do with Nick Arbuckle this year.
Yeah.
What's to say he's going to do with, say, the likes of Max Dunnigan and trying to think of the other person's name. Tucker Horn for quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, well, I think this is a good move. As I think one of the first things that I mentioned, and I mentioned this just before we started recording here, was that in terms of his experience, he has seriously some of the most, he has just an absolutely ridiculous amount of experience. He's been coaching since 1997. He's 55 years old, but he's been coaching for just a very long time in all sorts of environments. Like I'm just going to go through his coaching career and just and say all this, just so you can realize, first of all, he's a two-time Grey Cup champion, 2022 and 2024, respectively. If we go through his career, starting in 1997, from 97 to 98, he was a graduate assistant and running backs coach for Robert Morris. From 1999 to 2003, he was a offensive quality control coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the tight end / quality control coach for the Buffalo Bills in 2004. 2005, he was the tight ends coach for the Buffalo Bills. In 2006, he was the quarterbacks coach and wide receivers coach for the Berlin Thunder. This was part of NFL Europe. And then in 2006, he goes back to Robert Morris as a defensive line coach. 2007 to 2008, he is the wide receivers coach for the Arizona Cardinals. For 2009 to 2010, for the Arizona Cardinals, he was the passing game coordinator. He then became the offensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals from 2011 to 2012. Then he was the assistant head coach / offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach of the Montreal Alouettes in 2013. Then in 2014, he goes to college football and is the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach and receivers coach for Edinburgh. Then he then goes back to Robert Morrison again. For the 2016-2017 season, he was the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. Then becomes for Westminster. In 2018, he becomes their defensive coordinator and defensive line coach. Then the very next year, sticks around with them and becomes the offensive consultant and assistant offensive line coach. In 2020, he goes to Vince McMahon's revamped XFL as the New York Guardians wide receivers coach. And then ever since then, he's been the quarterbacks coach for the Toronto Argonauts. So he's done all sorts of things. He's been every type of coach you can possibly imagine, except the head coach. This will be his first head coaching job almost 30 years into his career. Does he have the experience, Rick?
So here's how. So there's going to be a couple of things I'm going to bring up. First off, what I'm curious to see what plans he's going to have for the future.
Yeah.
As far as, because the people who I spoke to, fan wise today, was bringing up discussion of with Ryan Dinwiddie and Ottawa, how many Toronto coaches are going to go to Ottawa? Well, now that Mike Miller is the head coach in Toronto, how many coaches are going to stay?
Yeah.
So also with the Mike Miller signing, I don't know if it was actually official or not. You can pretty much put the Noel Thorpe, potential head coach, to bed.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be the defense coordinator for Montreal.
He will probably continue.
Um,
I could see him getting a head coach job eventually somewhere else, but like I, you know how I view this? I almost view this as I remember when the Saskatchewan Roughriders head coach position became available. The question was whether it was going to be Buck Pierce or Corey Mace who was going to take over that position. It ended up being Corey Mace. So Buck Pierce stayed another year in Winnipeg. Well, what
mhm.
happened? Buck Pierce the very next year went somewhere else, and BC needed a head coach, and he went over there. So I don't think this is a. I don't think this means that Noel Thorpe won't get a head coach position. It's just not right now. It was Mike Miller. It was his time to take the reins over in Toronto, and so Noel Thorpe, I think, will probably at some point be a head coach in the CFL. Just not right now. Just probably in the future at some point. But all in all, I like this signing for Toronto. I think this is the right move. I also think that this is good in the sense of that in a year that's going to be a little bit strange. They're losing some home games. Uh, they had just lost their head coach. They kind of needed to fill that void and get kind of Toronto needed some stability. You know what I mean? They needed to kind of stabilize things so that was to try to keep that talent that they have there in, but then also be able to draw stuff back in and get themselves back into the playoffs. And I think that a move like this gives them a better opportunity to do so. I think this is probably the best move they could have made.
Let's just say there's going to be some definite job openings on multiple different teams this offseason. So it'll be
Yep.
interesting to see who goes where.
Yep. And that means that, again, he is no longer in the Bombers OC sweepstakes. So we'll have to see what happens there. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord where we discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports. So make sure you guys go there and keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. We'll see you guys next time.